Alright, guys. I can't.
Same to do without laughing.
I got chicken in my teeth. Okay, we're back for real. We're back. We're back. Last week's episode. I know some of you have been waiting for this story. I went to a bowling alley. It was a friend's birthday. I had not had one drink. Actually, I think I went to QT and got some hot chocolate because it was freaking cold. I don't even think they let me get my wallet.
You don't even remember?
I don't even remember. Last week's episode, and by last week, I mean like an hour ago. Really. I had to give him the juice. Like right away. Alright, we're back.
Ooh, try this. It tastes like tamales. I'm like, girl, no. It's not tamales. They would like get the bread that we would get, crumble it up, put a little like either water and like make it into like a tortilla, and then they would get pork rinds. Am I saying that right? Pork rinds, and smush them up, put them in between this bread, fold it up, kind of like a tamale, and then that was their tamale. Menudo was even more hilarious. They would attempt to chop up pickles, and then get a pork grind bag and cut it. Well, really, it was more like ripping it open because, of course, we don't have access to scissors. They would open it up, put the pickle juice in the pickles, and that was menudo in jail. Can you believe that? And I was like, I'm not eating that. I don't care if I'm pregnant. Like, I'm not that kind of pregnant person. Like, I'm not mixing like ice cream and pickles and all that. You know, I'm not doing all that. And so, I really wanted to be active in jail, like move and get, you know, still be in the groove of my physical fitness. And we had one room that had a TV that had a lot of space. I could have probably done some yoga in there or something, but no. I was like, I am sleeping these 28 days. Like, I need to wake up and it be like, bam, it's over. So it came to like the third week, and a lot of the things that we did was read and talk about the books and play cards. And at this point, like, everybody's kind of my friend. I became really good friends with, you know, not my bunkie. She actually left, like, so I got in the 26th of October. November 2nd is my birthday, so I spent my birthday there. And they gave me a sweet little card. Everybody signed it. And then November 7th is when my actual bunkie left. And then the person next to her, I got closer to her. She had like a best friend. She was alright. She was okay. And then, excuse me. You know, there was another pregnant girl next to her, and then people would leave, people would come. It was crazy. There was a lesbian couple, and then another girl came, and then the more tomboy one knew her and got closer to her, so she broke up with the other one, and then these two became they were right next to me on this side, and I was like in the middle of the drama, like, dang, you gonna do her like that? And then the first girlfriend, she was actually very pretty. She asked to be moved to another unit because she didn't want to witness this heartbreak. So that was interesting. I started getting close to the girl over here, and we'd play this card game. I wish I could remember what it was because it was actually fun. We'd be all night playing it. And technically, you couldn't be in somebody else's bunk. So we'd have to like play it, and then when the COs would do their walks, she'd have to like hurry up and get to her bunk, and we'd be like what's up? And then they'd go back to their little room, and then she'd come back and we'd play cards. And so one day, I order stuff on a Monday, right? And I turn it in. I love cheese danishes. And you couldn't really be specific about what you bought. There's either donuts, danishes, the chocolate ones with the nuts on top. I don't remember. Anyway, they had like dessert, they had like snacks and like Doritos and corn nuts. Is that what they're called? A bunch of, you just didn't get to choose what you got. You just say chips, check it, and you get what you get. And I mostly bought like tuna. They say don't eat tuna while you're pregnant, but I was like, this is as normal as it's gonna get. Can I get some mayo with that? And I could just eat it with my Doritos or whatever chips I got. And I ordered danishes, and I was like, please get me the cheese danishes. And so I got my bag, and then you learn how to fold your bag so you can have it nice and neat and keep your stuff in there. And I looked through my stuff, and I was talking to the girl, and I was like, bruh, I got a cherry Danish. Like, who likes cherry in their dessert? Like, I don't. Cherry's like one of those fruits that, like, I could only eat it as it is, but I can't have it in anything else. Like, I can't have, like, cherry cheesecake or like cherry pie or a cherry Danish, but because that was all you get, like, I was gonna eat it eventually. I got 2 cherry Danishes and a blueberry. And blueberry is a little better than cherry, so I ate that one, and I put the cherry at the very bottom under all my goodies. And then there was a day when I was going through my stuff, I was talking, I don't remember her name. I want to say Monica. Monique? Marissa. Her name was Marissa, I think. Michelle? Whatever. Something like that. I'm like, I got cherry. I'm like, do you like cherry? You want it? She's like, no, you're pregnant. You'll eat it. I'm like, fine. Put it at the bottom. And so I'm laying down on my side, just being fat. Because at that point, when I went to jail, I looked like I had a box of donuts. I didn't look like I was pregnant. Although women could tell I was pregnant. But to me, I was like, it just looks like I had like a little bit too much to eat. But once I got like to 30 weeks pregnant, because I got out at 31, maybe 29 weeks, I got super big, super fast. So I was like laying there like a rock, like, I'm not moving. We can go outside. It's cold. It was November, so I'm like, no, I ain't going outside. It's freaking cold. And this girl who was labeled in jail as the rich girl. Her parents would send her like $300 for commissary, and there was no reason why she should have to ask anybody for anything. But she came up to me, I'm laying down on my side, right? And she's behind me, and she asked me, can we do a 2-for-1? Like, I need a bag of chips so I can eat. And a 2-for-1 is, if they take one thing of yours, they pay you back double. So she wanted a bag of chips, so she would have to pay me back with 2 bags of chips. That's how it worked. And I was like, yeah, go ahead. But I wasn't going to get up and give it to her because I was like lazy. And I know you probably shouldn't trust people in jail, but I didn't think what happened would happen. So I'm laying there, I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And she showed me, and I was like, okay, cool. And so days go by, which, by the way, we had one of those days where they sent all the hot COs in and destroy everybody's bunk bed, make sure you don't got no, weapons or drugs. They didn't mess with me because they saw my big old belly. They're like, you good. Although there was other pregnant women in there that got caught up with drugs or were on drugs or doing drugs, whatever. None of my business. But they didn't mess with me. But it's funny because they were like super hot, number one. Number two, they would like look through your stuff and destroy your bed. Like take your sheets, and they didn't care. It was messed up. But back to where I was going. I might do that. I one day I just stood up and I was like, okay, like at this point I had eaten one of my cherry danishes. No, I had not. I was thinking about it, but I knew I had two and they were at the bottom. And I asked Marissa, I'm gonna say her name was Marissa, I'm pretty sure. I'm like, do you remember I had two danishes, the cherry ones? She's like, yeah. Did you eat them? I was like, no. I put them at the very bottom because I knew I wasn't gonna eat them. I only have one. And I was kind of like dumbfounded, like, did I eat one? I got this baby brain, like, I don't remember. But I would have remembered because I didn't really care for them. And I put them at the bottom because I knew I wasn't gonna eat them. But I was gonna eat them. But I was pretty sure I didn't eat one. And all of a sudden, this girl comes from like way over there playing like cards and stuff. I think Marissa might have mentioned like somebody ate it or somebody stole it or something. And then this girl literally from like way over there comes around and she's like, she stole your Danish. And I was like, who did? And she was pointing to the girl that did the 2-for-1. And because I didn't see exactly what she was grabbing and or if she grabbed something other than the chips that she showed me, she's like, her, when she took your chips, the chips that you gave her for the 2-for-1, she took the Janus too. I saw her. And I was like in my head like, well, why wouldn't you say something? But again, she didn't really know what was going on. Like if she took two things and was going to pay me double for two, you know, whatever. And then she literally goes around to her and she's like, you stole her Danish. Why? She's pregnant. Why would you do that? And literally, like, it was like a riot. And I'm like, whoa, y'all, like, I'm not, you know, it's all good. It's not that big of a deal. And I really was, that was probably the only time I was like scared because I didn't know like these girls were gonna like actually fight, number one, throw me into the mix. And because I was pregnant, I was like, hey, like, it's all good. I don't even like cherry. I don't even care. But she stole my Danish. And we went to mass one Thursday and she ended up asking people if she could cut the line so she could be behind me. And she's like, hey, can I talk to you? And I was like, what's up? And she's like, I just wanted to apologize about that whole mess. I didn't steal your Danish. And I was like, in my head, like, well, if you didn't do anything wrong, like, what's the apology for? You know what I mean? Like, if she was apologizing because that happened, you know, my Danish just got out of my bag and walked away. Like, I'm like, I don't know if she really did. The only thing that could confirm her guilt was the fact that she gave me a dessert. Like, she gave me 2 bags of chips and a dessert. She's like, here for your Danish. And I'm like, so you did take it or you didn't take it? I'm confused. But it was crazy. Like, that was really the only time I was like, oh my god, these girls about to fight over my Danish. And that was really, like, there wasn't really fights. Actually, there was one fight. Some old ladies, like, just talking trash to each other on the east side of the unit. Sorry, guys, my nose is so runny. It's so cold, and my nose is itchy, too, because, I don't know. Anyway, these old ladies started fighting. That was really the only time there was a fight. It was like on the Mexican side. There was like the east side of the unit. It was pretty big. There was like maybe 50 of us. The Mexicans are over there, like whites, I believe, or the Indians, and then whites, and then me. And it was kind of like all over the place. People would come, people would go. It got to the last week, and it was the toughest because it went so slow. Not only did it go so slow, people started coming in that were on drugs. And they put this girl on that side of the bunks, 1, 2, 3 bunks, so I could see her diagonally. And her like first day, she like threw up. I was like, oh God. I was lucky and didn't throw up my whole entire pregnancy, so I was like, oh gosh, please don't start like that energy, because I don't have like, let's not do that. And she was even pooping on herself. I don't want to like talk about it too much because it's sad, but it was my last week's experience. Like, people were coming off of drugs, people were bringing in needles. Don't even know how that happened, but the tomboy lesbian got a hold of it. I do remember that. They were like sharing the needle. No thanks, I'm good, thank you. It was just getting weird the last week. And the girl that I became friends with, her story was she decided to do a drug deal for her ex-husband that would pay her $3,000, and at that time she was desperate for money. And as soon as she got to Arizona, she got caught right away. Like, she landed, got to the hotel, there was already like SWAT doing investigation, and they caught her. And poor thing was there for a year and ended up having to she ended up doing like 3 years in prison. So it's kind of sad. I wouldn't recommend it. But she was probably the most normal one. Her BFF, she was kind of like loudmouth. I'm like, girl, check yourself before you wreck yourself kind of girl, you know what I mean? But it was an interesting experience. My last day, I was like, all right, just go to sleep early and they'll wake you up to leave. And when people would leave, it was usually around 11 o'clock. But I actually went to sleep, and they didn't wake me up till like 1 a.m. And I mean, my jail experience was, that was just a few things. I remember going and watching the Food Channel and being like, I can't wait to get out of here. It was around Thanksgiving time, and I was sentenced from the 26th to the 21st. Like, I got out 3 days before Thanksgiving, and I was watching. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna make that when I get out, or I'm gonna tell my mom to put that in the turkey, or and the COs were pretty nice to me. They would talk to me about my tattoos and their tattoos, and like, it was whatever. I got postcard for my nieces and nephews, and one of them was like cut off because it had white out, and that obviously is, you can get high from that, so they like cut it off. So one of my nieces' postcard was like half cut off. I was writing letters to a friend that visited me before I went to jail, but I never was able to send them to her. I still have them. I don't have them here. It would be fun to go over them, but I don't have them. And so they woke me up around 1, 2 a.m. They put us on a bus. They took us to the back part of where you first go. Like, the first place they take you, there's like a back part of it, and that's when they give you your stuff. They let you change. They do the release paperwork or whatever. And that was much shorter than processing in. The processing out took like 6 hours. I remember when we were completely done with paperwork and all that junk, and they told us, like, when you get out of jail, you have 3 days to report to the PO main office and find out who your PO is, and then having to meet them and all this junk, and they're just kind of preparing you, giving you information. I also met a counselor in jail, and we talked about like single parent stuff, mother stuff. a bunch of stuff, you know. Anything like juicy or to talk about, just basic, like, you know. And then it was, there was only 4 of us in there, and there were older ladies, and they seemed a little normal, but I just sat there. The seats there are cement, so you can imagine how comfortable it was. But I just took off my jacket and used it as a pillow and slept the whole time, and it was about 9 a.m. and they let us go. And my sister was already there, and she picked me up. It was an interesting experience. I don't recommend it, but it was interesting. Very interesting time in my life. When I got out, I was 31 weeks pregnant. I was huge. I'm gonna have to do a video about my pregnancy because it was a very interesting pregnancy, considering the fact that I went to jail. But yeah, my sister picked me up. We were in like Central Phoenix, West Side, and we decided to go visit my grandma at her gravesite because I usually do that every year on my birthday because I was born on the Day of the Dead. So I try to always go visit her. And we went, and she's like, "Are you hungry?" I'm like, "Yes, I want some In-N-Out." Hello. That's like the best get out of jail food. Like your first meal needs to be In-N-Out. It was amazing. Oh, and coffee. I had In-N-Out and Dutch Bros. Yep, sure did. And that's it, guys. Like, it wasn't, you know, I think I cried once, maybe, because I was just frustrated in certain ways, and I couldn't express myself in jail. And I just thought about, I think that's really what it was. It was just a frustration of not having privacy. It's really the only time I cried. And in my pregnancy, I kind of felt detached from the pregnancy, and I think the emotions just came up at that moment. I didn't really do anything super fun or learned anything in particular about jail in jail. I just knew I didn't want to go back. I knew that I couldn't go back. I was about to have a baby, be a single mom, and I couldn't continue the path that I was going. So that's pretty much it. Got home and lived my regular schmegular life. I went to go visit my PO once I did everything. 3 days before I went into labor. And my labor story is kind of funny, so I might do a video about that. But that's pretty much it, guys. Really, the lesson in everything is find a different way to cope. I mentioned in my other video how there was a certain time in my life that I was abusing alcohol and using it to cope or to mask my feelings, and I don't recommend it. Not only are you taking time from your life and destroying your liver and your health, and just, gosh, I remember so many like hungover days and having to go to school and just living my best life, but it wasn't my best life. There's so much better things that you can do to release some emotional bondage. If you're in Arizona, this girl that I used to work with went to a rage room, I believe it's called. You can look it up. It's on Groupon, where they give you like 20 minutes to just destroy stuff. I really wish I would have gone. I wanted to. It sounds like fun. And that's really like the one thing I like think about doing when I'm like really irritated. I'm like, can I just break something? Can I just go to Goodwill and buy some plates and like destroy them? Do that. Go climb a mountain and throw some rocks. Like, start a journal. I know that's so corny and lame, But you have to let it out, guys. You have to release it. What really stuck with me, I think I talked about this in my last video, was a mad class, and this woman talks about losing her daughter in a car accident. She was hit by somebody that was super duper high on marijuana, and her 5-year-old didn't make it. And it stuck with me because my parents had drove me to that meeting, and they had my daughter in the car, and I was just like, imagine you getting in a car accident because somebody's intoxicated, whether it's alcohol or any other drug. Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I used to do personal injury work, and like 25% of our injured patients were from drunk drivers. And it's really sad. God forbid it's one of your family members, and you just don't want that for your family. And it applies to not being a reason you cause that pain to somebody else. And that's really what, why I really don't, I'm not a big drinker anymore. If I do drink, I'm at somebody's place or my place, and I choose to stay there. Or, when my DUIs happened, there was no such thing as Uber. And if there was, it wasn't popular, because otherwise that would have, and again, if you are a friend and you know your friend has had a few drinks and you know their story, don't let them drive. Don't do it, because God forbid your friend kills themselves from drunk driving. Imagine the guilt you're gonna feel if you have feelings. I just couldn't live with myself. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I ever caused, besides my family, the pain of me and my circumstances and how it affected them emotionally. I just, it's not worth it. And if anybody is watching, I'll put my email in the description down below if you need anybody to talk to. I do know that the trick to helping somebody get through what they need to get through is just to shut up and listen. So I'm all ears if you need anybody to just listen to you. And I know I'm a stranger, but I know how hard it is to kind of just be vulnerable and open about situations that you wish you could control, and it involves other people, and you can't control other people, but it's hurting you. I get that. So that's it, y'all. It wasn't that big of a deal. I'm at this point, my daughter's almost 4. I'm off probation. Probation was kind of tough. Funny story about probation really quick. I got really sick, and here is a little 411. I was really sick, and I had to follow up with my probation officer once a month. And I was really sick, and I was taking NyQuil and Mucinex MD and all this stuff. And then I went to go see my PO, and I had to do a drug test, and they're spontaneous about drug tests, so I had to do a drug test. And I get a call from him. He leaves a voicemail, and he's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you. It's important." That's it. So I call him, and I was like, "Hey." He's like, "Do you have something to tell me?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" I'm like, "I'm doing great. What's up?" Yeah. I'm like, "What?" And at this point, I had already had my daughter, and I was breastfeeding and whatever. He's like, "Well, your urine came back dirty." And I was like, "What? What you mean?" And he's like, "Yeah, I popped up for meth." And I was like, "What? Meth? I don't do meth, sir. I just had a baby. I'm breastfeeding her. What you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, well, you better figure out your story, because I'm not going to play these games with you." And that was the first time I ever felt so, helpless. I'm like, hold up. I know I didn't do anything wrong. What the hell, And this is serious. It's my probation officer. Like, he can literally just be like, I'm taking you to court, and easily years in jail. And I was like, hold up, no. No, I'm not playing games with you. We'll figure this out. And I told him, like, could it be the medication? I was sick last week. I was under a bunch of medication. Could that have possibly been it? He's like, how about this? If you can get a note from a doctor, a pharmacist, whatever, that can happen, maybe I'll let it slide. But, you know, I need you to come clean if you're doing meth. And I'm like, so I'm going everywhere. Again, Maricopa is really small, so I was going to every pharmacy and asking them, like, could you in any way, like, write me a letter or something stating, you know, that can happen. Like, one of these medications can really come up positive on a drug test. And they were all saying yes, Mucinex MD can make a blood test be positive for meth, but they weren't willing to write me any notes or anything. And I went back to go see my PO later that week, and I told him, look, like, I'm not doing drugs. Like, I just had a baby. I'm not trying to screw this up, but I did go to pharmacies around here. They weren't really willing to write me anything, but, like, they said it's all over the internet. You can look it up. They say Mucinex MD can come up, positive for meth. He looks at me, he turns around, and he's on his computer, and he prints something out, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna put this in your file. If one of your drug tests ever come back dirty, that's it. I'm throwing this away, and you're going to jail. And I was like, cool. And never happened again. So it was cool. After like a couple, like 2 years, it was like seeing him every like 3 months, or like I really didn't have to report to him. They would actually do like house visits and like make me do a breathalyzer. So like, so dramatic. I get it. You know, if somebody actually has a problem, you do that, but I was just like, y'all, like, come on now. But it is what it is. And that's it. That's all I got for you guys. I'm already at an hour. Can you believe that? I appreciate for those of you who actually watched this whole thing. It's an interesting story. I don't know what my next story time is going to be about. You guys can let me know. Again, if you need somebody just to hold it down for you, listen to you, talk to you, whatever, I'm going to leave my email down below. Also going to link my other video, and it's probably going to hold like 50% of this information, but you can still watch it. Thanks. And that is all I have for you guys. I might put out another video today just because this was story time, and I still want to put out something that's educational for you guys. So stay tuned for that. And again, thank you for watching. See y'all later. Bye.